Kicking us off here on Friday, long ball number one. The morning after men's national team took down Saudi Arabia in the second game of the Gold Cup, getting the men's national team into the knockout phases. Chris Richards, man of the match, scored the goal, made the crucial block. I saw highlights, but I saw mixed reviews of the performance. You were on the radio covering it last night. How did you perceive last night's performance?
Well, I mean, I won't lie. The first half was pretty frustrating. The United States had so much of the ball, but did so little with it, unable to really get a whole lot going. I think we had maybe one shot on target in the first half, and I think it came in like the 43rd minute or something. So there was a lot to be desired when it came to that. I guess, what's really hard for us, and I described it as like threading a needle. What's really hard for us is trying to decide how frustrated to be as observers, as analysts, as fans about a performance like that when this is a group of younger, more inexperienced players for the most part, minus Tim Ream, minus Chris Richards in the back. This is a group that, isn't what you would put on the field if you could in, say, a World Cup game. So should we be frustrated? Should we be upset? They haven't played together a ton. Or do we give them a bit of a pass and say, hey, you know what they did? They found a way to win, Rob. And what we want from especially a younger team like that with Diego Luna and Patrick Gajamang and Max Arfston and Jack McGlynn is to find a way to win. And Chris Richards was the star of the show, so roll tide, all that. But otherwise, it's really tough to kind of pin it down how we're supposed to feel.
Would you say that the strengths of the sides is turning out to be kind of the back line? Where are the strengths lying here in this team, do you think? Is it too early to tell? Obviously, you said they didn't create a whole lot in the first half. From what I saw, that there was some last-ditch defending, which kind of kept the game tied until that goal was scored. Is defending their strength, or what would you say this group really has going for them after two games?
They kept a clean sheet. Yeah, there were a couple of moments when they got kind of opened up and you worried a bit. But again, Chris Richards making the last-ditch tackle, that you're going to need that sometimes, especially in tournament competition. I do think the midfield, for the most part, Sebastian Berhalter, who got the assist on Chris Richards' goal, played a wonderful ball in that set piece. And Luca De La Torre, who had a couple of turnovers that frustrated me, but were not necessarily damaging, right? They were not great, but he otherwise played pretty well. I think I'm comfortable with that pairing through the balance of this tournament. Now, again, those aren't the guys that I would have on the field for a World Cup match. But if we're talking about what's available right now to Mauricio Pochettino, and maybe we're trying to work out some depth and some guys who will make that World Cup team if we need them behind some of the other guys I would rather see on the field, then there's something there. Chris Richards is establishing himself. Right? He's going to be, I think everybody, and as everybody's estimation, he's probably going to be a starter at the World Cup next year. Unless injury happens. I really don't see any other way around that. Like, that's who he is now. Tim Ream is 38 years old, and it's scary to imagine him starting for the United States in World Cup matches. But until somebody takes that place, I'm kind of comfortable with him. I mean, he's very good with the ball at his feet. There's lots of things going on there. So, there's that. I just threw up Nate's comment about Patrick Gajamang. You're asking, the attack was not great last night. Diego Luna, there were some things happening. It was okay. I do think that, again, with all that possession and an inability to find ways through, one thing that frustrated a lot of people is that Max Arfston played way too negatively. He's supposed to be a wingback and not a fullback, but when you pushed him up high, he didn't do enough as a wingback to really make a difference. Patrick Gajamang, if he was 20 years old, Rob, and he was playing the way he is in this Gold Cup, I would be excited about his future. Maybe not about him in the World Cup next year, but 3 years from now, 4 years from now, I'd be really excited about Patrick Gajamang. But he's 24. He's not 20. Yeah. He came out of college, and he's a late bloomer, or his path was not what we kind of need to see young players develop. And he could take a step, and I do think moving to Europe would help him. But man, he's not the guy quite yet. And I'm not sure there's another option in this team. So that they may have a deficit at center forward moving into the final game against Haiti on Sunday and then into the knockout rounds.
Yeah, I like the story of Patrick Gajamang because it's kind of in the world that I kind of inhabit with USL2 and the college players, and it's kind of the hope for all those players to go from that to a professional career. But you look at him, and the more I've watched him, the more I'm almost thinking that's an undeveloped player. Like there was some level of training or development that hasn't happened between like 17 and 22. Like to your point, he looks like a teenager or a 20-year-old that's just on the cusp of making that click to become a legit pro and a real difference maker. But his touch and just the way he kind of operates in certain spaces and his decision making looks like a young player. But to your point,
Yeah.
he isn't that, and he should be a fully polished. If he was in another place in the world, he probably would be more of a polished player. Whether he turns into that, still, fingers crossed, obviously, because we want as many good, talented, and refined players.
Yes, right. Yeah.
Any,
Look, but
any
again, this
team overseas take a 24-year-old that's unrefined?
yeah, I could see it happening. I could see. I mean, we're not talking about a lot of money. We're not not talking about 10. We're talking about 2 or 3
But
million
at the
bucks.
same point, that who was the striker that had a hot run that went from college to Orlando to overseas, and he had the string of the tears. He was unrefined, so that might be a proof of concept.
I think you're
The one
talking about
that's on
Daryl
West
Dike.
Brom, yeah.
Okay. I think you're so Daryl Dike was farther along in his development, and he was younger when he became a pro. I mean, again, Ajamang's in his second year as a pro, and he's 24. Daryl Dike played, I think, maybe 1 year of college soccer, maybe 2. He left early because it was clear that he was a talent that was going to make a difference at the pro level. And now he's at West Brom. If not for the injuries, I think we would be talking about Daryl Dike. And,
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like Patrick Ajamang has kind of becoming a stand-in for Dike because Dike hasn't been able to keep a good run of health together to continue to show us what he can do. And there's just a lot of sort of like almost guys in the striker pool for the U.S. men's national team. It's Ricardo Pepi, almost not a starter at PSV Eindhoven. Obviously, his injury kept him out of this team. Is he there? Should he be the guy? Following Balogun, rough start to life at Monaco. Talented player, but not quite there. Injuries slowed him down, and he's missing this tournament because of that. Josh Sargent seems to be a talented player, but can't put it together for the national team. Right? And then Haji Wright, who was not available last night because of an injury that he picked up in this camp, and he's maybe not even a center forward the way that you would want that player to play. So, there's a lot of imperfect stuff happening there.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the selection because there were so many players in and then out and in and out. Was Josh Sargent was he just not selected? Did he say, I want to stay back with the club?
No, he was not selected for this team because Mauricio Pochettino didn't pick him. That's it. In this case, for this Gold Cup.
I do like the fact that there are many players in the conversation, but it's also to that same degree, there's no one putting their stamp on it to say that that's absolutely my striker spot. So we shall see how the striker spot progresses for men's national team. They qualified for the knockout stages with that win against Saudi and take on Haiti on Sunday night in that final Gold Cup group stage match.